Robin with Creative2xmom, and in today's video we're going to be talking about what we read in the month of December. So welcome back to my channel. My name is Robin and this is Creative2xmom. This channel is all about homeschooling, parenthood, and thriving in the day-to-day. But today's video is going to be about some really good books. Today I'm sharing with you my personal reads as well as what we read with our kids throughout the month of December 2021. We are in a new year. It feels so foreign to think that the calendar has changed and we are starting a new year. So as we're wrapping up our reading for last month, I wanted to share with you what we read. So the first book that I read in December was The Beginning by Beverly Lewis. This book came out I think September of 2020. Beverly Lewis is a really well-known Amish fiction writer, and I've had this one on my list to read for quite some time. So this is Sarah Mast. She is living in Lancaster County. She's living the Amish life, and she has really been shaped by her brother's death. As the story goes along, you kind of find out that she carries a lot of guilt of why he has passed, and they were quite close before his passing, and so she is carrying this guilt in a way that is sort of keeping her from moving on with her life. So this is the story of Sarah and her sister and her mom. Her mom adopted a little girl when she was quite a bit older, so her younger sister is quite a bit younger, and the brothers have moved out of the house. In fact, one has moved quite a ways away, and mom has some health problems, so a lot of what the raising is now is on Susie is on Susie's shoulders. So it's their story of their family and what they do sort of as the mom faces this health crisis and the daughter is growing up and she's asking questions about her adoption, and the family is scattered here, there, everywhere. They're having problems keeping the family farm. Financially, it's just not viable, and they're trying to justify keeping this piece of property in the family. This was a little bit of a different storyline, a different take. Sometimes Beverly Lewis can be a little bit formulaic, and that was part of the reason why I put her in December, was for a very predictable story throughout the chaos of the holidays. But I will say that this story had a few twists and turns that really left me unsettled in a good way, wanting to read more, not feeling anxious or frustrated with it. It was still a good storyline, but just in a different offbeat sort of way. So this has probably been my favorite Beverly Lewis book in quite some time. The next book I read was called In Order to Live by Yeonmi Parks. This is an autobiographical story. This is her story of escaping North Korea to find freedom. Now, her family was very entrepreneur-minded. They were trying very hard to support their family in a crumbling economy. So her dad was bringing in and trafficking goods into North Korea, and so their family gets marked for that. Their family also gets marked for the fact that they owned land before the new government came in, and so they're already marked as capitalists, and she just decides it's time to get out. In a very desperate situation, her sister leaves, and so her and her mom decide to leave on the spot about a month later, I believe, and they leave very quickly. They go into China, and at that point she realizes she's been lied to. She thought she was going into China in sort of a free society, and yet she ends up being trafficked with her mother, finds out her sister has been trafficked, and it's everything that she does to survive at that point. Her and her mother get separated. She ends up marrying her trafficker, and everything that she does to try to bring the family back together, to get her dad out of North Korea, to find her mom, to find her sisters, to purchase their freedom, essentially. So this is what they do to, first of all, get out of North Korea, and then everything that they have to do to survive in this situation in China. Ultimately, their goal is to get into South Korea, into a free society, and even that covers a good chunk of the book, because even there she's realizing she doesn't quite fit and doesn't quite know the rules, and what does she have to do to survive even in a free country. It was super, super powerful, very insightful into what is happening in some of these more closed countries around the world. If you want your world challenged, your worldview challenged, if you're open to that, if you're open to knowing like how hard it is to live in some of these more closed societies, this was an amazing book, and it will kind of ruin you for complaining, because so much of what she went through was really, really tough, and I can't imagine surviving that at 12, 13 years old and still being somewhat functional, as she comes across as very functional and very much so still keeping the family whole. The next book I read in December was called Christmas at the Seashell Cottage. Now this is one of those books that just happened to come up free on Kindle. It was a Christmas book, it was December, and I thought, okay, I will give it a shot. So we have this young woman who is a doctor in a small town. She's gone against her parents' wishes, and she's decided to take this general practitioner position, and she meets a man who is there kind of in transit. He doesn't know really where his life's going to go. He's recovering from a broken relationship, and he has a daughter that he also wants to be near, and so he's trying to figure out fatherhood in that scenario, and they come together and they meet each other over this chance finding of a little baby boy who's been abandoned in a manger. So she takes on the responsibility of being foster mom, and he sort of takes on the role of foster dad, and they're kind of thrown together with this baby and a mutual attraction for each other. I knew nothing about this book before reading it, although it was really, really good. It is a romance novel, and it's not a Christian romance, so there are some questionable things in this book. It's not the typical book that I would read, and it's not even necessarily a typical book I would recommend. It was good, the storyline was good, it kept me on my toes, but just because of those few red flag scenes, I would probably skip this one in the future. The next book I read in December was called Just Right, Jillian. Now this was a review book, and it's about 5th grader Jillian, who is very shy, very closed off. She knows how to fit into 5th grade. She knows that certain days you wear certain colors. You never wear bright colors. You don't want to stand out. You do your hair like all the other girls. You don't appear smart. And she is a very, very smart girl. So it's hard for her to hold herself back. But because of her shyness, she does. And this is her story of letting herself become who she is. She's very supportive parents, which was probably one of my favorite things about this book, was the parental relationship with Jillian, and that they didn't belittle the parents, didn't make them look stupid. I really look for books like that to hand off to my kids. I will leave my full written review down below, but needless to say, this was a very good book. There was one little red flag about just some cultural identity issues possibly, but it was so slight that I was probably just being sensitive to it. I will leave that full review down below for you to check out. And then we read 2 books with the kids throughout the month of December. Now, these were both very small, short books, because in December we do a Christmas picture book every night before bed. But I had 2 books that I wanted to squeeze in really quickly, and these are 2 that we read every year. The first one is The Family Under the Bridge by Natalie Savage Carlson. If you have not read this, you have to pick it up. This is great for, I would say, probably higher preschool through like 2nd grade. My son is in 5th grade, and I started to realize this will probably be the last year we read it, but it is really, really good. It's a story of they call him grandfather, a homeless man who happens to find this family under his favorite spot under the bridge because they've become homeless themselves. It's set at Christmas time, so we threw it into our December reading. We also read The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And this is a reread. It's probably the 3rd or the 4th year that we have read this one. we come back to it again and again every December, and I can't see us stopping anytime soon. We absolutely love this one. You have the family of the Herdmans who are trouble. The kids are always into trouble. Nobody likes them. Everybody's a little bit fearful of them, and they stumble upon a Christmas pageant, and you start to see the Christmas story through their eyes. They're absolutely outraged by King Herod. They don't understand what's happening with Mary. Why is she not protecting the baby more? Why are these kings bringing such impractical gifts? It's so funny, and yet you realize that they're the ones that are really grasping the meaning of Christmas because they are seeing it with very fresh eyes. Excellent book. I can see us returning to this one every year. So those are all the books that we read in the month of December. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what are you reading, or what did you read with your kids recently? I'm always looking for new recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We will see you again at the end of January to share with you our new fresh reads. I have some great things coming up. Pretty soon I'm going to share my winter reading list so you can catch that as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.